Okay, so have a look at this exercise, this isometric drawing here. So we want to identify the front view and draw with the fully defined dimensions, the three most important views. So you're going to solve all of these. So A, B, and C. Let's start with A. So for A, the approach I would use is to model this in the 3D environment and then generate the views and then dimension them. If you want, you can draw the orthographic projections straight away in you can draw the orthographic projections directly in AutoCAD, and that is also acceptable. Okay, so let's switch over to AutoCAD and proceed. Okay, so let's switch over the workspace. So whether you are on AutoCAD or AutoCAD Mechanical, you still can do this. So I'll switch the workspace here to 3D modeling and then dock this as shown. Now I can change, I want to use Southeast isometric. Then type in UCS icon. I want to move it from this location to the corner. So I'll just go to no origin like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to draw this front face of the artifact, this bottom part here, and then I would extrude it to get that portion. And then I want to draw this in the front plane. So select front like that. I can start from 0 and 0. And then let me turn on the ortho mode. The length of the entire feature is 107. I'll put in 107. Then zoom into it. And then at some point, which is 51, from this, I'd go for circle. Then at some point, which is 51 from that point, so I'll track 51. There is a semicircle with radius of 30, that is 30. So I can go for trim and then trim this and that part. And now the height or the height or the thickness. So I'll use offset for that. So offset, and I'm offsetting to a distance of 11. So I would offset this to a distance of 11. And then this line, that's 11 there. This portion, that's 11. Now I can go for extend EX for extend, and extend this portion. And of course, I can extend this line, that line, and then hold down the shift key, hold down shift and click, click once again. That will trim. And now I can use a line to connect this portion to that portion. and do same there. Okay, so I can extrude the entire thing, but then let me select everything and join them. And now I can go for press pull. I want to pull this by 48. Okay, so that is that. If I were to switch from wireframe to conceptual, this will be what we have so far. Okay, and what I am going to do next before I exit is I would go for, let me switch to world. So that is world for us. If I switch to top, right? So top, what I want to do is I want to draw the holes through them. So let me switch to the wireframe and then go to the top view like that. So there is a hole of diameter of 5, which is placed centrally. So I can go for that, and then here, so, and there. So where the both of them meet, which is this portion, I have a hole of diameter of 5, so radius will be 2.5. And then I have another one of diameter of 13, right? So 13, and then the distance from that point should be, for this placed at some point. So let me just put this in. So I have diameter, so I have a hole of diameter of 10. So I'm just going to put it here. So radius will be 5, and I'm just going to use a construction line. So if I were to draw some line of length 13, right, and then 13, okay, so the end point of this line will be the center, right? That's, and then I can just delete that line. Now I want to mirror this feature, so mirror. I'm going to use this as my mirror line. Okay, now I can go back to, say, home, and then let's go to, say, conceptual. Okay, so conceptual wouldn't help me, so let me go to 2D wireframe. What I want to do is I want to subtract, I want to create some features and subtract. So I will just go for press pull, and I will get this. So I'll go for press pull, and then I would select this circle and pull it up, and I would go for that one and pull it up, and go for this one and pull it up. Okay, so I can switch to conceptual, and this is what I have. So what I want to do is I can go to subtract, and I'll select this body, hit enter, and I want to subtract that feature, so enter, and then I'll repeat that same method for the remaining. So I'll select this object, enter. Let me go for subtract. So I'll select this body, enter, and I want to subtract that, enter. One more time, so select that, enter, and then select this, enter. So this is where we are so far. And then for this portion, let's go ahead and put that in. Okay, so for that I think we can switch to the right like that. So if we look at it, I think we can use, if we want a rectangle, so this rectangle would have a length of 48 and a height of 41, and then I'm just going to draw another one to represent the slot, and that would have dimensions of the height will be the length should be 13 and the height will be 16. If you look at the calculations, okay, like that, and then I'm just going to move it by the midpoint to this midpoint like that. Now go for trim. So trim, and then I'm going to trim this part, okay, and I can go for center start end. So axle, that is my center. I'll start here and I'm going to end there. Now I can think trim. Let me select the cutting edges. The software seems to be struggling, so let me manually select the cutting edges, enter, and then I'll cut that. Now I can go for fillet, right? I can go for fillet here. In the fillet radius on that side, so the radius is 5, and then let me click on multiple. So I'll fillet this side and that side as well. Now I can hit escape, and then I can go for press pull. Let me see if it will work. Okay, it does work. Your thickness is 11, right? So I can now move this entire thing by this corner and then position it here like that, and then I can go for fillet once more and go for a of radius of 13. So 1 3, enter. I'll click on multiple and I'll select this edge and hit enter and enter again. And then let me on the view cube click on this corner to rotate it, and then I'll select this corner as well, hit enter and enter again. Now let me click on home. Okay, so this let's click on world, and then we can change maybe to a shader or something, right? So I can right click here and then change that to parallel. Okay, so this is the feature we want. What I want to do though is I just want to select this sketch and delete it, and I'll select this one as well and delete it. And this is the feature that we wanted to draw, right? So that is that. I'll just drag some material onto it like that. Once I switch to realistic, the material will now show. Okay, so you make sure you're saving your work as you go along. Okay, so like some of you, I'm having challenges generating my views in AutoCAD Mechanical. So I've opened AutoCAD itself. So I will generate the views here and then go back to Mechanical and continue. So click on Layer or Layout. I can select this viewport and delete it. And click here on Layout and then go to Page Setup. I'll go to Modify. I'll use this printer, and then let's switch to A3. Okay, so this should be sufficient for now. And then let's okay that and close this. Okay, so like we said, we want to use base view to generate our views. So I can just click here. Make sure you are in layout, so you can just click in here and then from model space. Okay, so we're working in first angle. Alright, so I can click to position this, then click on exit, and then that should be our top view, and then the left side view. I'm generating my views in first angle, and then I can position this here as well. You can hit enter. So I'll just double click on this and select in the hidden lines portion. I'll just select shaded with visible edges like that. Then I would okay this. Okay, so now I can put in the dimensions as required. So if I were to go to annotate, now I can continue with the dimensions and everything. So I'll save this and then go back to mechanical and continue from there. Okay, so we're here in mechanical and I've switched to the mechanical interface. Okay, so under home, I think we have a center line here, so I'll manually draw in the center lines. So from here to there, and then from this point to that point as well. And then of course in the side view and another there. Okay, and then I think one more should go through here. Now I can switch to center line cross, and then I can click there and grow it out. Same thing maybe here. and then another one here. Sorry for the background noise if there is any. Okay, now we are to fully dimension, so we can go to annotate and deal with that. So we can go for power dimension. If I were to go back to maybe home and then check the layer, okay, so I can dimension this part. Okay, so say 107, and then I same vein can dimension to the center of that. So from this point to that point, so that can be here. I can close the editor and go back to annotate, and I want to do a chain. So click on chain like that, and then select this as my base dimension, and I want to dimension up to this point, so like that. Now I can hit escape. Before I continue, if I were to type layer LA and open my layer, you'd see that AutoCAD by default would create some layers for me. All of these layers were created because I generated the views, so I didn't have to create the layers myself. Okay, and then I'll go back for power dimension, and I can dimension this portion, and then I have a radial dimension here. But then why don't I dimension this portion first? And then I can go for baseline and select the base dimension, and then I want to specify this point. All right, so okay, so I think I can now dimension the radius. All right, so let me select a radius like that, and then of course this is what I want to dimension. Okay, so I have all those in. Now perhaps I can go to the side view, and then I can draw that in, and now from this point to the midpoint I have this. I can hit escape and go for baseline, and then select this as my base, and then I'll specify this point here. All right, so that is that. And now I can dimension the fillets. So let's go for a radial dimension like this. Okay, now in here I would edit the information a little bit and say I want 2 times of this. Okay. Uh, okay, so let me put my R in there. Okay, so like that. And then I can go to the bottom, the top view. And then for the top view, in between those two should be 22, and then this portion here would be 24. Now I can go for the diametral dimension, and then that is diameter of 5, and another diametral dimension for this, diameter of 10. Hit escape and then double click on that. Now for this, I should have 2 of that. Okay, and then I can go for a radial dimension for the fillet. Then there are 2, so 2 times of that. Okay, maybe what we want to do is we can go in here and then click on Files, Edit, Modify, and for the text, instead of yellow, we can say by layer. So whatever layer we are using, we're going to use that. And then for the lines, by layer, so layer color, whatever the color is. So I'll okay this and okay that, okay this as well. Okay, so all of this is in the layer. So let's go to LA for layer, and AM_5 is the layer we drawing or we dimensioning on. So let me click on this and then change the layer color to say black or something. And is it possible for me to type in here white? And okay, that's okay. So I just change that to white. Okay. I know white gives us black, but I'm sure you understand why, because of the contrast. Okay. So this is what we haven't so far, and when I zoom in, you see the thickness of the lines, and those thicknesses are inherited from the layers which were created for us when the views were generated. So AM_7 is for the hidden lines. I'd actually click on that, and then I want that to be white as well. So I would okay that. Okay, so that the center lines, not hidden lines, the center lines are also black, as I would prefer them. So if we went back to the question we are solving, we were to generate the views and fully dimension them, and that is what we've been able to do. Now next, we asked to create an offset section view through the center line through the 10 mm drills. So a center line through the 10 mm drills. So the section line goes through the center line, and then it will go through the 5 mm drill, which is this one, and finally it will go through the 13 mm slot, which is that. So that's an offset section. Let's have a look at what that is. Okay, so this is what the offset section is. If you have a look at it, so you see that the planes, so let's call it the first part, the second part, the third part. You see that the second part is offset somewhat from the first surface, and then the third from the second and the first. So this is the plane that is cutting through the object or the part, and what we are seeing here is the section line, and of course the section line is the edge view of the cutting plane. So this is an example of the offset section view. So let's implement that in our drawing. Okay, so for us who are using the AutoCAD mechanical, uh, be it AutoCAD mechanical or just AutoCAD itself, we can create a section view, or we can generate it if we have the 3D model. So if you're using this approach, then we can generate the model, or we can generate the, the we can generate the section view as required. So what we'll do is go back to layout. Okay, so for us to be able to draw in the section view within the create view portion here under layout on the ribbon, we can select offset section, and then we select the view, the parent view, by clicking on this one here. Now I'm only going to track this point backwards, so I click there, and then I click through the center like that, and then I'm supposed to go through the center of this hole as well. So I'll only track this point, and then once I'm sure I've gotten the center, it's very important that we track the center backwards. So I think that is it. So I can click and then move all the way outside. So I'm going through the 5 diameter hole, and then I'll go through the slot of 13, which is this one. So I can now click any point outside here, right? And then I bring the cursor downwards and hit enter like that. And then I want this view here like that. So I'll just click like that to position it, and then click on exit. Okay, so now I think I can draw in the center lines like I did earlier. There is one more thing I want to do. Look at this part. It looks as if AutoCAD is interpreting them as different objects. So I would go to the model and then select this portion, and that portion, you see AutoCAD sees them as two different objects. So I would have to switch the workspace to 3D modeling for that. So I'm using AutoCAD here. If you're using mechanical, you can switch somewhere down there. So I'll switch, and then I'll go to Union, which is this one, and then I can click on this and click on that, and then hit enter. So when I click on them now, it shows as one object. So I should go back to layout, and then you see that an update has been made. All of these mean that I should update the dimensions, not to worry about them. Okay, so if I were to go back to layout, or indeed if I were to go to annotate, here I am in AutoCAD. I can draw in the center lines using these ones here. So I can, for this one, you don't really draw, you just click on one part, click on the other part, and it will automatically, the center line will automatically be placed for you. So I can do same on this side. So I click here and there. Now they don't really look like center lines, so I can just change the line type, the LT scale. So LTS, and then hit enter, and then the scale there is 1. Let's change it to say 0.5, and now you see that we can see that these indeed are center lines. So this is how you do the same in AutoCAD if you are using AutoCAD instead of mechanical. If you're using mechanical, you know where to find the center line. I think we've already done that as part of this. Okay, all right. So this will be our section AA, and the label is there. So let me just bring it here. So this is section AA. Now I want to move this away, so I can click on it. I want to move the entire view. So when I click on this, you see it can move upwards and downwards, but it appears it can't go to the side. First things first, let me turn the auto mode off, but you still, I can move to my right. I want to move it away. So what I can do is I can click on shift. When I click on shift on my keyboard, now I can move it to the right. That is, break the link between the parent view and the child. So I'll now place this view somewhere here. Okay, and then I'll select all of these and then move them up. Move them up. Okay, like that. All right. Don't mind these. Basically, what that means is that AutoCAD wants me to make sure that the points the arrows are pointing to are the correct points for me to position or to place the dimension lines, and those are the correct points. So let's not worry too much about that. It's fine. Okay. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at the question. So we've solved A, we've solved B. Let's now solve C. So C is saying that there is a basic tolerance of 40, the height of 41. We want to apply some basic tolerance to it. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so to indicate that this height here is basic, so let's click on that portion and then click on reassociate. We'll be asked to specify the first extension line, which is this point, and the second one is there. So once you reassociate them, the triangles or the cautions will all go away. It's not a problem. Okay, so let's make this a basic dimension. So if you are using AutoCAD mechanical, all you need to do is to come in here, right? And then this is the theoretically exact dimension, if you recall, and that is a basic dimension. So I just click on this, and that is the solution. That's all there is to it. So let's go to the next one. We've been asked to maintain the tolerance of the semicircular slot, which is this portion. So we have 38.10 and then 37.97. That's uh, an uneven or an unsymmetric limit. So let's apply that. So in here we can go for annotate, so power dimension, and then I'll turn on the tolerance, right? And then here I have minus 0.03, and then on this portion, what is it I have? I have 1.0, right? Or 0.10. So that is what I have. So I can now click here and there, and then position it. Okay, and this is what I have, but the method that I want is the upper and the lower, which should be this method here. So right, so this is exactly what I want, and if I were to click outside, you'd see that I have exactly what I need. Okay, so the trailing zero here is not showing, so I can click on this and then right click and go to its properties, and then I want to look for tolerances, and then the precision here 0.00, and then do I tolerances suppress leading zeros? I would say no. No. So tolerance suppress trailing zeros here is on yes. I'll put it on no, and then close this out. And then once I do that, I have 38.10 as I would want. Okay, so that solves C II for us, and then all the other dimensions we have to use a tolerance of plus or minus plus and minus 0.02. Instead of applying tolerance of 0.02 to all the other dimensions, I rather apply them to all other linear dimensions and not to all of them. I'll leave the radial ones alone. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I can select all the linear dimensions, so here and there, and then what else do I have? So I'll select 107, I'll select 11, and then 18, and then I'll select 48 and 24, and then I'll select 13. Okay, and then obviously I can turn tolerance on here for them. So if I turn that on, what I have is I am using this method here. So make sure you selected the correct method, which is this one here, symmetrical, right? And the value should be 0.02 on either side, 0.02 on either side. Okay, so that is what I have for that. And then if I were to hit escape, you'd see that I have those. So let me zoom in now. On mechanical, the color used here is yellow, which is weird. So the method I've demonstrated is how you would do it, right? So that is how you would do it. So you just turn the tolerance on, you select the method of choice, and then you put in the upper and the lower values. Now what I'm going to do though, so that is for those of us on mechanical. If you're not on mechanical or you don't like the color, uh, I'm going to undo that. So this is where we are, and then I'll select them also, this and that, and then the 13, um, and then the 24, 22. Okay, now okay, so let's select 11 as well, and then 18. So I'll rather right click, go to properties, and then I'll go to tolerance. So if you are on AutoCAD, now you can use this method. So in here, tolerance display, let's go to symmetrical, like that, and then in here, because it's symmetrical, um, here you'd only be allowed to enter one limit, and then the other one automatically would appear, and then I can close this. So when you come here, you see that um, it's using a black color, and it's easier this way. You don't have to go back and make any adjustments. So that is that. So for the yellow stuff, I said you can reassociate the dimensions. So if you reassociate them, uh, they would go away. Yeah, so if say I click on this one, I click on reassociate, and then I associate this point to that point, it goes away. So please, you can go ahead and then reassociate them all, so that you have what you would expect. So okay, so let's go to the last question. Is it? Okay, so we want a geometric tolerance of position to the 5 mm drill, and we are using a tolerance value of 0.01 with the surface X and Y. Mind you, X is this surface as shown here, and Y is the surface on the back. Okay, so let's go back and implement that. Okay, so this is the one we're talking about. Now, before we'll be able to position the feature control box, or before we should position that, what we should do first is to create the datum or the reference. So to create the datum, we have it in here. So you go to annotate, and then in the symbols you have that one there. So datum identifier. So you click on datum identifier, and you select the object to attach to, which is this. So I click on that, and then the start point, let me use this midpoint as the start point, and then where do I want to position it? I'll click here and then hit enter, and this point, this pops up, and if you remember, this reference was X, so I'll just click OK, and then I'll go back and do same. So datum identifier, I'll click on it, and then I can now click on this side. I want to start here and end maybe there. So I'll hit enter now, and then this side, the identifier was Y, so I can go to OK that. Okay, so I'll click on the feature control frame, which is this, and then select object to attach to. I'll click on that, and then uh, the start point, I'll just start it here, which is fine, and then next point, I'll just click there and hit enter. Now it is a position, so the symbol required here, if I click in here, I'll look for position, which is this one, and then select it, and then now I need to specify the first tolerance, and the tolerance was 0.01 if I'm not mistaken, and then the datum was datum X, and then there was a second datum which was datum Y, and then I can now click on OK. So this is how I would, uh, I would solve that. So maybe what I can do is I can select this and that, And lastly, this right click and go to properties, and then they are on layer, the color is by layer. So let me change it to by block so that it's just black. uh, okay, that is that. So basically this solves the problem for us. Maybe I can just get this, then drag it a little bit to that side. Okay. Okay, so I've removed the issues or the cautions which had to do with the reassociations. So, and just the method I showed you. So you do that and we end up with this, and this will be our final solution. Good luck.